Fireman Sam. Norman in trouble. It was a fine summer's day. Sarah and James were in Fireman Sam's garden. "We're going bird watching, Uncle Sam," said James. "Look, we've got binoculars and a book about rare birds." "And a picnic," added Sarah. "The picnic's the most important thing," chuckled Fireman Sam. He went into his inventing shed and emerged with a large piece of canvas and some bamboo poles. "What you two need is a hide." "A hide?" said Sarah. "You mean so we can hide from the birds?" "Exactly," Sam replied. In the countryside, Sam put the finishing touches to the hide. "Now you can spot the birds without being spotted yourself," he said. "Brill!" Sarah exclaimed. "It's just like a secret den." Sam left the twins to their bird watching while he went to Dillis's shop. "It's very quiet around here, Dillis," he remarked. "Where's Norman?" "He's gone fishing today," said Dillis. "What can I do for you, Fireman Sam?" "I'd like a pound of apples, please, Dillis," said Sam. "Oh dear, I'm afraid we're out of apples," she replied. "How about some pears?" "No, thank you, Dillis," said Sam. "I wanted to bake an apple pie for the twins. It's their favourite." Norman was fishing in the Pandy River. He'd had no luck. "This is hopeless," he moaned as he picked up his tackle. "I haven't had a bite all day." On his way home, Norman spotted the twins in their hide. He grinned to himself as he dangled a plastic fish lure in front of James's binoculars. "Look, a flying fish!" cried James. "Where?" asked Sarah excitedly. Just then James spied a familiar thatch of red hair as Norman dashed off giggling. "It's just a rare red-headed freckly Norman Price," James sighed. Sarah frowned. "Norman scared off all the real birds." Norman was still giggling as he walked towards home. He hadn't gone far when he noticed an overgrown path in the woods. I don't think I've walked this way before," he said to himself. "I'll bet it's a shortcut to Pontypandy," he said, and turned onto the path. Suddenly he spotted an old tree house high up in a tree. "Brill!" he exclaimed, running towards it. When he reached the tree, Norman found a rope ladder hanging down from the tree house all the way to the ground. "That's handy," he chuckled and began climbing up the ladder. "I'll make my own secret den up here," he thought. "Mum will never find me." But the rope ladder was old and worn. Norman was nearing the top when the ladder began to fray. Quickly he scrambled into the tree house, just as the ladder gave way beneath him. "Oh no!" cried Norman. "I'm stranded!" He gazed forlornly at the broken rope ladder. "I'll have to get help! But how?" Norman pulled his handkerchief from his pocket as he tried to think of a plan. On the other side of the woods the twins had spotted a rare marsh warbler near the hide. "Shh!" whispered Sarah. James was looking up the marsh warbler in his book on rare birds. He turned the pages very quietly. Just then dozens of startled birds flew out of the trees in the distance. "What's happening?" asked James. "It's Norman!" Sarah cried, peering through the binoculars. She could see Norman in the treehouse frantically waving his handkerchief. "He's in trouble!" James raced out of the hide. "I'll see if I can help Norman," he called to Sarah as he headed towards the woods. "Right, and I'll find a phone to call the fire brigade," said Sarah. She ran across the fields as fast as her legs would carry her. Sarah looked and looked, but she couldn't find a telephone box. "I must have run for miles," she puffed. She climbed over a wall onto a country lane. Suddenly she spotted Firefighter Penny Morris driving towards her in Venus, the rescue tender. Sarah waved her down. Penny steered Venus to the side of the road next to Sarah. "What's the trouble?" she asked. Sarah hurriedly explained. "Let's go," said Penny. As Sarah climbed into Venus, Penny radioed Pontypandy Fire Station for help. Then they sped along the lane and over the fields until they reached the edge of the woods. At last Penny and Sarah arrived at the tree house. Quickly Penny placed a ladder against the tree and began climbing. The tree house creaked and groaned. "Hurry, Penny!" cried Norman. "It's going to collapse!" "Don't worry, you'll soon be safe, Norman," Penny replied as she reached the tree house. She helped Norman over her shoulder into a fireman's lift, then carefully made her way back down the ladder. "Well done, Penny!" exclaimed Sarah admiringly as Penny and Norman reached the ground safely. "Thanks, Penny," said Norman. Just then the creaking and groaning of the treehouse grew louder. "Move out of the way!" cried Penny. Everyone scattered just in time as the treehouse came crashing to the ground. "That was close," breathed Penny. At that moment Fireman Sam and the Pontypandy Fire Brigade roared up to the ruined treehouse in Jupiter. "Well, Firefighter Morris, it looks as if you've already rescued young Norman," said Station Officer Steele. "And only just in time," added Norman. That afternoon Fireman Sam, Penny and the twins ate their picnic in Sam's garden. Sam had devised a simpler way for the twins to watch the birds. He'd built a birdhouse. The birds were nibbling the nuts and seeds as Sam served up his homemade apple pie. "I like this kind of bird watching," chuckled Sarah, tucking into her pie and ice cream. "This way the birds come to us."